What if there was a way you could make your footage look just like film for only a few $100s? A little over a decade ago, Canon came out with their first mirrorless camera called the EOS M. In fact, this video is being shot on the EOS M right now. But what's so special about this camera, and how does it look just like film? Well, for starters, a third-party company called Magic Lantern has utilized the entire picture mode of the camera and converted it to video. That way this camera can shoot 5.6K 14-bit RAW continuously with the right memory card, of course. Currently, I'm only shooting 2.5K 10-bit RAW just to save space and make the camera overall work a little bit better and not overheat quite as much. However, this camera is an absolute powerhouse for anyone who's trying to recreate the film look, especially on a budget. But even if you're not on a budget, this camera can still prove to be extremely useful and might just get better results than a more expensive camera such as the Sony FX3 or FX30. Now, the camera itself obviously doesn't include film grain as it's still digital, and that's where today's sponsor comes in handy. Dehancer is a plugin and effects company that specifically emulates film grain, bloom, and halation to make your footage look exactly like film. Now, Dehancer is not paying me to say any of this. I'm saying this completely of my own experience and my own thoughts on the plugin and their new iOS and Android app. Because the EOS M has essentially been upgraded to have modern cinema line camera upgrades, it's still an old camera and has some of those older, more vintage characteristics, which are eerily similar to film. The EOS M just needs a little bit of a push to really get it to look just like film, and that's where Dehancer comes in. Okay, so we're in Resolve right now and have a few clips loaded up from Red, Blackmagic, Sony, and the EOS M, just to give us a good look at what Dehancer can really do. So let's jump right into the color tab and see how the grade works and how the film emulation and halation and bloom and all the other effects work on top of it. Okay, so right off the bat, I have a grade. I'll just show you the before and after of the grade. That's before, that's after, and that's including the film. We'll take that off. If you notice, I didn't select this node when I did that grade because I think it's stupid when people go before and after grades and it's just logged to whatever Rec 709 or Rec 2020 conversion they're using. I think that's dumb. All right, so right here, this is our shot straight off the bat. A little bit of noise, nothing noise reduction really couldn't handle. And again, this was shot on a Red Helium 8K. And the reason we shoot RAW and that cinema cameras do matter, including the EOS M that can shoot RAW, and you can adjust with this, is ISO and temperature adjustment. I had to boost the ISO on this to 1280 because originally I think we shot at 800, and that's just a little bit too dark, so bring the ISO up, because when you're working with film grain emulation, usually boosting your ISO just a little above its native ISO range can actually help blend in with the film grain. So let's just take a look right now. I'll throw on the film grain emulation, and that's got some halation on it. And that honestly looks really, really good. That really seats in well. Looks pretty good. Obviously, that's a little bit strong, so what we can do is we can come into our Dehancer effects setting right here. I'll just scroll through it real quick. We have input, film developer, film compression, expand, print, color head if you really want to get into detail. Right here is where the guts are really going to be. You have film grain, halation, bloom, film damage, film breath, gate weave, vignette. Now under output you can adjust the total impact. I'm going to bring that down right over to 70 so we can really see. That's a really nice blend there. Halation isn't too much anymore. The film grain isn't overtaking it. It really blends nicely. Finding a good blend matters. I wouldn't ever leave a film grain emulation plugin, kind of just at full power unless I absolutely had to. But right here, I really just have under the Super 35 millimeter film settings, I just have film grain and bloom enabled, and there's a bunch more you can do. You can do customs, you can do anything between Super 8 to 70 millimeter film, which is like honestly an extremely wide range of film you can use, so you can really take your film to the next level. Obviously there's more ISO settings under film grain. If you want to go through all of these settings yourself, you can visit the link in the description and use code SHFILM and go ahead and download Dehancer yourself for the free trial. And if you like it, go ahead and buy it. I think I certainly would. This is definitely a plugin I would use. So let's move on to the next red shot and see how Dehancer, really plays along here. All right, so I already have it loaded up and I have my settings in, and they're a little different than the last one because each clip is different. So I'm just gonna bring that to full screen, and you can really see that's before and that's after. This is a clip where film grain really brings out the beauty of the image. You can even see like the grass in the back. It just looks a little bit more green, a little bit more pretty. And the halation around the highlights is very beautiful. Another thing that helps film emulation actually look like film is how you shoot it. If you notice, this pencil right here is really soft. That's because we shot with the red 18 to 85 millimeter, and we shot it at 2.8, which is wide open for that lens. So it is a little bit soft, but that does play to our advantage when using film grain and halation, as usually older lenses are a little softer if you don't stop them down by about a stop or two. So this really does play to the advantage of film emulation when you're trying to do that. This shot is from the Blackmagic G2 Pocket 6K. It's from a short film I shot last December. The problem with this shot right here is that it's a little bit noisy. I haven't added any noise reduction, and you could easily get rid of that, but I'm going to leave it there because, like I said earlier, film emulations plugins, especially Dehancer, actually respond very well to a little bit of noise in the footage. When I go ahead and turn it on, you can kind of see the grain looks really good. I would still apply some noise reduction as it's kind of brightening up the image. But I can go in here and I can just take the black point and increase that just a bit, and it does help with that noise reduction. In fact, if I just go over here, let's create a new node and see how noise reduction works with Dehancer. So we're just gonna up that luma threshold just a bit. That actually works really nicely. You can see right there that it actually turned out pretty good, and it's pretty filmic. All right, now this shot is from a Sony a7S III. I don't believe I've added film grain to it yet. This was a very pretty shot. I enjoyed this short film a whole lot. We shot a whole 5-minute short film in about 12 hours. So let's go ahead and load Dehancer up on there and see how that looks. Okay, so right out the gate when you do load up Dehancer, it does lighten up the image a lot. So you got to go in and adjust your black point. Just do a before and after. Maybe bring that down a little bit. There we go. That's pretty similar. And you don't want it too close because then you're kind of ruining the effect of film grain emulation. You can clearly see before and after right here. That's before, that's after. Makes it look a whole lot more gritty. A problem I'm noticing is right here. You can kind of see where this was kind of soft before. It's sharpening it up a little bit, and honestly, I don't like that. So I'm just going to go to my output, and I'm just going to drop that a hefty bit. Now we can see the before and after, and that looks a whole lot better. That blends into the scene a whole lot better. Go through here. That looks really good and filmic. All right, and this is our last shot right here, where I haven't added Dehancer to it yet because of the grade. I'm just gonna pop out and show y'all what this before and after looks like. This is a quick grade. I just wanted to see how whiting out a background, how would that affect Dehancer. Just gonna drop that on there. And specifically, I want to mess with the halation, as that's my bloom, as that's my favorite effect. Go in there, going to automatically just drop that to about 81. That's everything. That's just the grain. That actually really glues the scene together. It looks a whole lot better than it did before. And again, this is on the Blackmagic G2. So those are pretty much all the shots from short films and professional stuff I've done. But here's just a look from a test I did a while back. I think out of all the clips, EOS M really handles Dehancer the best. I'm just gonna play through the clip real quick. You can see in the background that the film grain looks really pretty. The colors around the eyes and the hair and even the background is very well saturated. I did add some color grading and some masking to it just to make it really look as good as it possibly could. But I did the same thing for these shots, and I honestly think the EOS M handles it the best. Red does a really good job. Sony does a really good job. Blackmagic struggled a little bit. At the end, I got it to work. But I would recommend, if you're a film lover, but you can't afford to shoot film because it's ridiculously expensive, go ahead and hop in the link of this video and download Dehancer with my code SHFilm. And maybe pick up an EOS M so you can get this really pretty filmic look for only a few $100s. You can pick up an EOS M on Amazon or eBay for just under $200. And I think with this combination, you can really get a truly filmic look and create some really cool stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you're curious about Dehancer, again, the link and my code is in the description of this video, which you can use on their website. And also I'm going to throw up on the screen some pictures, because Dehancer doesn't just do video, they also do photo, and they do a really good job at it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and also check out my channel if you want to see my work and my short films, or click on one of the 2 videos on the screen.